Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2023 GESDA Summit. My name is Muriel Siki, and I will be your moderator today. We are very happy to be hosting the 2023 Summit here at CERN. The Summit is the first major public event to take place in this brand new auditorium of the CERN Science Gateway. It was designed by world-renowned architect Renzo Piano and was inaugurated just a few days ago. We are here today to project ourselves in the future. We are living through an incredible time of scientific disruption at a pace never seen before. Yet scientific breakthroughs are deeply connected to geopolitical relationships and shifts. It is a challenge, and it is even truer today than it was just a few days ago. We are here to talk about solutions, about what science and diplomacy can bring to our future, solutions which must be inclusive in order to benefit our common human values. During the next 3 days, we will be joined by more than 1,200 participants from around the world, both here in Geneva and online. The program put together by GESDA is rich, with 30 different sessions addressing multiple topics. For example, there will be anticipatory briefing sessions from the 2023 Science Breakthrough Radar, which will inform us on what is cooking in the labs for the next 5, 10, 25 years. You will hear about the future of psychedelic medicine, secrets of the deep sea, and the next fungal pandemic, to name just a few. You will be able to participate in discussions with prestigious decision makers and guests about the potential impact of scientific and technological breakthroughs for the future of humanity and of our planet. We will discuss topics such as shaping the future of AI, defining the red line in research, and the importance of science diplomacy. Plenary sessions will include anticipating the future of peace and war. We will also discuss neuroaugmentation, and on Friday, you will be able to follow an exceptional high-level panel with foreign ministers and decision makers who will discuss artificial intelligence and quantum solutions for all. As you can see, the program is rich and varied, and we hope that you will engage with us on social media throughout the summit using the hashtag GESDA Summit. So I have given you a very quick overview of the summit. So let us take a few minutes to remind ourselves what the Geneva Science Diplomacy Anticipator is all about. At this time, I would like to welcome the chairman of the GESDA Board of Directors, Peter Brabeck, who will tell us more about GESDA's objectives during the summit.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, dear representative of the GESDA founders, State Secretary Alexander Fasel, Administrative Councillor Sami Kanan, who represents the city and the canton of Geneva, dear Mrs. Fabiola Gianotti, Director General of the CERN. Thank you, first of all, Fabiola, for allowing us to be the first one to use your new installations. And I think it's a real privilege to be here. And you just inaugurated this last Saturday, and I'm sure you will tell us a little bit more about this afterwards. On behalf of the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator Foundation, I am pleased to welcome you all to the opening of the third Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipation Summit. I remember last year I said in my opening speech, we have important work to do in this summit, and I said we have little time to waste. And I repeat the same thing for this summit. We have a lot to do if you look at the program, and you heard about the program, and we have little time to act. If I look back in less than a year, exactly a year ago, we were not talking about ChatGPT. And ChatGPT rose to become the most prominent of a new generation of generative artificial intelligence systems. Now, the fast pace at which it was adopted meant that many of the profound questions about its use will have to be answered after the fact. It provoked saying the founders themselves, we need a moratorium. We cannot go on because we don't know why. Well, I think this is a wonderful example of what we want to try to avoid with scientific breakthrough in the future. It is too late to talk about it, and it's too late to frame it when the breakthrough already has taken place. I think the world deserves and needs better than that. So all of us, citizen scientists, political authorities, diplomats, businessmen, philanthropists, NGOs, we need more than belated debates about the implication of powerful new technologies such as artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. And the only way to do this is by anticipation. And anticipation is la raison d'être de GESDA. It is by projecting ourselves into the future, we aim to detect in advance the major scientific and technological advances that will change the way, not only how we live, but it's changing the way how we think, and it is changing the way how we behave. And by doing this, we aim to give society the time it needs to prepare for those changes, with the best possible transitions and the best possible concrete projects, and not to have to hold important debates about our future in a rushed atmosphere that is hardly conducive to the emergence of constructive long-term solutions. So I think we are gathered here, and I dare to say with a certain level of excitement and of anticipation, to cultivate a dialogue on future opportunities. The new edition of the GESDA Science Breakthrough Radar will be, as usual, our map and our compass to find our way forward. Since a year now, we have left behind GESDA as a test pilot. We have been reconfirmed by our founders that GESDA has a next life for 10 years, and we are now 1 year into the GESDA's scale-up phase. So the Swiss and Geneva governments trusted us 4 years ago to create a unique instrument for anticipation and action that also strengthens Geneva as a city of multilateralism, and that's exactly what we have been doing. As a Swiss foundation working from Geneva, we initiate public-private partnerships and projects with our communities of academics, diplomats, entrepreneurs, but also citizen. We are a bridge. We are a bridge between science, diplomacy, politics, and we try, and that's very important, we try and will do the best to be an honest broker of global solutions for future challenges. Our definite goal is to widen the circle of people who benefit from scientific and technological advances, as it is stated in the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. This year we are going to celebrate its 75th anniversary of the human rights. And in Article 27 it says, and I quote, "Everyone has a right to freely participate in the cultural life of the community, to enjoy the arts, and to share in scientific advancement and in its benefit." So sharing and assuring that everybody has access to the positive side of scientific breakthrough is part of the Human Rights Declaration. And I'm very proud today to say that the quality of our work has received not only the confirmation from the side of our founders, but also we have received further confirmation through the prestigious Wellcome, a charity based in London, which has decided to support us and fund the work to take forward our project to create a global curriculum for science and diplomacy, together with prestigious universities from Switzerland and abroad. If science diplomacy is to become an effective instrument for strengthening multilateral cooperation, it needs well-trained people. And therefore, GESDA, together with a broad coalition of academic, diplomatic and private partners around the world, will develop and implement a global framework for training professionals in science and diplomacy that is based on a set of commonly recognized skills and knowledge. So a very warm thank to Wellcome for making this project possible. Now, achieving the task that has been laid out before GESDA is not an easy task. Our world seems to be coming apart. We know geopolitical tensions keep rising. The high stakes for science and diplomacy are top of mind for many of us. And global challenges and existential threats are mounting too. And the real big question is, are we able to join in order to find solutions to those huge problems? There is a war in Ukraine and now in Israel. The epic disasters in Libya and Morocco, extreme weather events, the pandemic, food insecurity, inflation, and other challenges. And they're all putting the world's blueprint for improvement, which are the Sustainable Development Goals, further at risk. As a matter of fact, the achievement of the SDGs is very much belated. Well-being, peace, human rights, and democracy face serious threats. So we face a lot of challenges, but we face also disruptive technologies at a time of major power shifts. Looking back, we would say the good old time of a b-ball, where we had two powers in the world, which then folded into one and is now exploding into many. So our multilateral institutions for global governance have not been able to keep up, frankly speaking, with this development. Some reflect power structures frozen in time since the end of the Second World War. And it will take more than multipolarity to bring about peace. And that's why one of GESDA's newest initiative is to help the world navigate the future of peace and war, which is going to be the first plenary session afterwards. So as we are experiencing a more challenging environment for collaboration.
We've heard about anticipation, acceleration, and translation. It's more needed than ever because science and technology will for sure affect the way we conceive multilateralism and how science can contribute in an understandable way to this questioning and therefore giving precious and important impulse to the way in Geneva multi-level, multilateralism, governance, and all the negotiation can take place and take into account those issues and trends. GESDA was created exactly to tackle this issue as a think tank to leverage the potential of new science and technology advances to improve well-being and promote inclusive development. Today, the world is very fragmented, multipolar, tense, and therefore the ecosystem for Geneva is necessity more than ever. Migration, climate change, social inequalities, artificial intelligence are among the issues which require common solutions, international, multilateral, and inclusive cooperation. It's not an option, it's an imperative, and it's part of the solution. That is the reason why we also need to integrate the voice of science into global governance. GESDA's vocation is to incubate solutions-oriented projects that can be politically endorsed and strengthened at global diplomatic level. Its work is therefore of critical importance. So the authorities of the canton and city of Geneva are particularly pleased to host the third edition of the GESDA Summit and to take part in the discussion ahead of us. Local authorities have little impact on global regulation, but they are at the first-hand contact with local realities, in urban areas especially. So these challenges I mentioned already are really a reality in everyday life of urban centers, and therefore we are very keen about taking part in this discussion. So to all of you, I wish for fruitful exchanges, and thank you again to GESDA for this great initiative. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. As you've heard, we are extremely pleased to be almost inaugurating this auditorium today in this incredibly new building, an exceptional building. And we will now hear from the Director General of CERN, Fabiola Gianotti.
A very warm welcome also from me to this GESDA Summit hosted by CERN in the Science Gateway, our brand new center for scientific education and outreach targeting people of all ages from 5 years up. And as previous speakers have already said, the Science Gateway was inaugurated just a few days ago on Saturday, and we are very proud to host the GESDA Summit as our first big event year after the inauguration. And we are very proud for two reasons. The first one is that CERN is a partner of GESDA. And the second one is that we share common values. So CERN mission includes the following components. First, fundamental scientific research to try to understand how the universe works. Development of advanced technologies for our own research, but also applications to many domains of society, training and education, collaboration across borders. We have a community of almost 17,000 people from all over the world. More than 110 nationalities are represented. Open science and open education as a means of reducing inequalities across the world. And this mission is pretty much at the foundation of GESDA work. So clearly there are strong links between CERN and GESDA. Peter asked me to say a few words about the Science Gateway and this building, so I'm very happy to have the opportunity to do so. So first of all, why the Science Gateway? The main reason is that science is absolutely crucial to ensuring a sustainable future for humanity and the planet. We can't think of addressing today's global challenges from climate change to health to inequalities without the contribution of science. So with the Science Gateway, we want to share with everyone the research we do here, but also the beauty and the utility of science. We want to do so in a very simple and fascinating manner, accessible to everybody, starting with 5-year-old kids. We also want to contribute to increasing the trust in science in today's society. We want to inspire the young people to take up careers in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We want to instill in all the people who come and visit curiosity and a passion for science. CERN has been engaging with the public education now for decades. And this is actually the problem and the reason why we have now implemented the Science Gateway. All our activities are saturated. So, for instance, over the past years, we have been hosting 150,000 visitors annually out of 300,000 requests. So this means that we had to reject half of the requests. And in general, all our activities targeting visitors, high school teachers, and students were saturated. So this showed that there is huge interest out there in CERN and more generally in science. And so the Science Gateway will allow us to increase the number of visitors from 150,000 today up to 500,000 per year. And we can also lower the age of the visitors, starting with kids at five. But also, as you will see, if you have the opportunity to visit the building, we will expand our opportunities for the public that we offer to the public by exposing them to laboratories for the youngest, to immersive and interactive exhibitions, to spaces where art and science can get together. And in general, the Science Gateway will be a place where people and scientists can meet on a daily basis, because one of the features of CERN educational activities is that our guides are all scientists and people working at CERN, because the public loves to meet the science. All this is housed in an iconic building designed and realized by Renzo Piano Building Workshop. The building is very symbolic. I would like just to mention two aspects. The two tubes which run along on both sides of the Route de Merin, which indicate the shape of the accelerator, which is actually running underneath our feet. So the Large Hadron Collider is the biggest, the largest and most powerful accelerator ever built on the planet, is actually running underneath our feet. So the tubes resemble to the magnets that we have underground. And the bridge. There is a bridge that connects the two tubes and the three pavilions, and the bridge indicates connection. And so the mission of CERN of connecting people from all over the world. So I said that we are very happy to host you and to have the GESDA Summit as our first event. The disadvantage is that we are still in commissioning phase, and there are several things that do not work yet. I will not disclose them. I let you discover them with your hands. But for us, you are a little bit, with all due respect, a bit of guinea pigs to help us understand what works and what does not work. So I ask for your patience and for your forgiveness if any hiccups will, arise in today or in the coming 2 days. And nevertheless, I hope you can have a great time here in the Science Gateway at CERN, and I'm looking forward to very interesting and pleasant discussions. Thanks.
Let us now focus on the GESDA Scientific Breakthrough Radar. As you know, the fundamental innovation of GESDA is to truly start with the anticipation in science to get a sense of what the future holds in terms of scientific advances. Today, we are launching the 3rd edition of the radar. It is a neutral tool which gives an overview of forthcoming possible breakthroughs in science and technology. A tool which also helps the diplomatic community and the general public better understand these innovations, as you will see in this video.
Featuring data from more than 1,500 scientists in 5 scientific platforms. The 2023 GESDA Science Breakthrough Radar dives deep into the most transformative scientific topics and issues. In an era of neuroaugmentation, what does it mean to be human? When advanced artificial intelligence is powered by quantum technology, how do we ensure the well-being of humankind and the sustainable future of our planet? As science and technology change the future of peace and war, how do we all live together? To answer these questions, we need to anticipate the science and technology breakthroughs of the future. In collaboration with the scientific community, the Science Breakthrough Radar takes the pulse of science and the pulse of society, enabling everyone to harness future opportunities for the benefit of humanity. Dive into the Science Breakthrough Radar. Learn more and contribute.
So to tell us more about this radar, can you please welcome Michael Hengartner, Chair of the GESDA Academic Forum and President of the ETH Board.
Dear Fabiola, thank you very much for having us. We love experiments, so it's okay to be guinea pigs. Dear colleagues, the current pace of scientific discovery and technological breakthrough is rapid and only looks set to accelerate in the future. Recent breakthroughs in artificial intelligence are not only producing technology that are friendly, such as ChatGPT, Google Bard, that people can use on the street, they're also enabling further scientific breakthrough. Take, for example, DeepMind, a company which produced AlphaFold back in 2020, a program that can predict the structure of every single protein known or predicted to mankind. Advances in neuroscience have reached a point where implanted brain chips have allowed people to speak again or even walk after severe long-term paralysis. This past summer, 2 different laboratories used embryonic stem cells to create synthetic human embryo-like bodies, bypassing the fertilization of an egg by sperm. And an increasing number of scientists and engineers are asking fundamental questions, such as, can we develop a robot that can reason and make decisions that look human? Or can we engineer life from scratch? The work that is done today in hundreds of thousands of laboratories distributed across the world, both in public and private institutions, has the potential to vastly impact who we are as humans, how we can live together, and the well-being of the whole planet. Therefore, we need to learn to anticipate what science and technology breakthroughs could be coming next. By becoming aware of potential future breakthroughs, we can make informed decisions today and gain agency over our common future. GESDA uses a process of science anticipation to identify potential advances in science and technology. This process of anticipation relies on 3 basic principles. First, we try to stick to the science. We strive to understand what developments are possible or probable in a scientific field, and refrain as scientists as much as possible from considering what might be desirable or preferable. Discussing what is desirable or not is extremely important, is essential, but it is to be done by the whole of society, not only by scientists. And we will indeed hear many such discussions on this topic later in this summit over the next coming years. Second, we apply the rigor of the scientific method to the process of science anticipation, including the principles of in-depth expertise, academic rigor, and peer review. And lastly, we recognize that scientific research is itself an agent in science anticipation, in a sense that research is the tool that humanity uses to systematically increase the horizons of our knowledge. Over the past 3 years, we have worked together with 1,500 scientists from 73 countries around the globe through dedicated workshops, symposia, and surveys to identify the potential breakthroughs across 5 different scientific platforms spanning the physical, digital, life, and social sciences. The 2022-2023 radar comprises briefings about the current state of the art for over 42 emerging topics, and for each of these 42 topics, it provides an outlook of potential developments spanning the next 5, the next 10, and the next 25 years. For the first time in 2023, we have also delved deep into 6 areas of the radar where we believe that there's a pressing need to understand the field and potential implications in more depth than what the simple radar was able to provide to us. First, our deep dive on neuroaugmentation provides an in-depth analysis of where research and technology may be taking us over the next few decades in this crucial field and what essential questions it brings with it. In our philosophical lens, leading philosophers provide insights into how the advances in the radar might change who we are as human, how we live together, and how we could live sustainably with the rest of our planet. The geopolitical lens provides a deep dive into the future of peace and war in relation with the breakthroughs that are anticipated in the radar, trying to understand the drivers of conflicts in relation to science and technology development over the next 25 years. The science lens sheds light on how the human right to science, embedded in Article 27 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, affects how we take part in and how we use scientific research, both now and in the future. The radar's digital pulse of society present in more details an insight into how public sentiment around the world is changing towards the different scientific topics included in the Breakthrough Radar, and our board member, Mamogeti Paken, will shortly give you more detail about this pulse. And finally, the incubation report on the Open Quantum Institute, we already heard it, will join an updated brief on quantum and advanced AI to provide the latest information on our very first initiative for supporting effective multilateralism. I'd like to close by extending my deepest thanks to all the academics who have contributed to the radar, many of whom are here today and will be speaking to us during the anticipatory scientific briefings. The insights provided by active scientists are absolutely crucial for the generation of the radar and for keeping it up to date year on year, and we are extremely grateful for their knowledge, their insight, and their participation. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, many thanks to you all for being present today, be it physically or online. Our Science Breakthrough Radar is intended to be used as a free and open resource by the global community. We welcome your feedback on how to continue to improve it so that we can make sure that it stays relevant and useful as a tool for anticipation and an effective multilateralism. Thank you very much.
To dive a bit further into this year's radar and better understand why it is so important to inform the general public, please welcome Mamogeti Paken, Chair of GESDA's Citizen Forum and Professor of Mathematics Education, as well as a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Town.
Thank you very much. I bring you greetings from Africa. And of course, I brought the sun with me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it here today. Well, as Michael has highlighted, science and technology are advancing at an exponential rate. But science and technology are not happening. They are not happening in a vacuum. The advances that we cover in the radar are reshaping or will reshape how we see ourselves as human beings, the way we interact with each other, and our relation to the environment. And that means their applications, their potentials, and implications need to be discussed broadly, not only with the scientists who are able to come to the summit, but with people who don't even know that the summit is happening, including people in developing countries who are often left out from the conversations. Science and technology are so transformative that citizens of all backgrounds and regions in the world need to be involved in the conversation. It is important, therefore, that we include the voices of citizens in the conversations about what those anticipated breakthroughs mean for society. The first step is understanding what people think about science and technology and what actions people are already taking in relation to these anticipated advances. Only once we understand these sentiments and actions can we start collectively to think about how we can work with science and technology to reshape the future. And so within the 2023 GESDA Science Breakthrough Radar, we have used artificial intelligence to analyze over 10 million social media posts and 1.3 million articles in mainstream media on topics relating to the emerging breakthroughs captured in the radar. This analysis allows us to take the pulse of society on what people say and what people do about the emerging scientific topics across the 5 scientific platforms. Now, I know you might be sitting there and say, that's not all that society would be thinking, what you get on social media or in those media articles that you surveyed. That's true. But what we're presenting in the radar is an important gaze into what society thinks and does with emerging science and technology. This node graph represents data from media posts relating to our first platform on artificial intelligence and the quantum revolution. The nodes represent themes relating to the emerging scientific topics, and the connections between them indicate how they are linked in the discourse surrounding them. But what is really interesting is if we look at the sentiment around each of these topics, we see from all the green that in general, most debates about those topics are positive. You can see the green and the yellow and the red. It shows that most of the discussions and the debates are positive. And this shows that in general, society is very positive about the potential of new breakthroughs in these areas, despite the caution that is being called for around topics such as AI. We can see this trend towards positivity across the 5 different platform areas in the radar. And if we look by country, we can see how sentiment either changes or is the same across different areas of the world. I mean, of course, what's heartwarming is to see that even some of the areas in the world that we thought might not be discussing are discussing this. Of course, if you look at the radar, you'll see detail. For example, in Africa, which countries in Africa are actually getting this debate. And of course, you'll see that there are cases where there isn't much discussion. But we can see as well as how this is changing across time. We don't only see where it's taking place, we can see also how it's changing across time. Taking AI as an example, we can see that, perhaps unsurprisingly, given the concerns about its regulation and impact on society in the last year's data, there has been an increase in negative sentiment around this technology. There was a little bit of positivity in last year's data. Taking this one step further, the radar also takes stock of the actions citizens take in relation to the scientific advances. Whether these are citizen science initiatives, public awareness campaigns, or entrepreneurial activities. Beyond the radar, we're also looking to engage generations, future generations, directly through our GESDA Africa Youth Anticipation Initiative. And we do that online. For the second year running this year, this has brought together young people from the African continent to discuss the transformative potential of science and technology in society. Again, it is not exhaustive, but it's an important gaze into these discussions and the transformative potential of science and technology as the young people of Africa see it. This is fundamental to ensure our education systems are preparing the next generation of leaders in these debates. Young people will inherit the future, and they need to be involved in the decisions on how science will be deployed for the addressing of global challenges. Through these initiatives, GESDA is integrating more and more citizens into its actions to collectively use the future to build the present. And you'll meet some of the young people who came from Africa, who engaged with us online in this summit, and at least one of them is participating in the panels. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Pakeng. This concludes our opening session. I would like to thank all of the speakers, and after a short break, you will be able to attend the different presentations. A quick reminder, you can follow the sessions on social media using the hashtag GESDA Summit. Thank you for attending this opening session, and I wish you all an excellent summit.